Hi, my name is Eric Dunn, co-founder and CEO of Rever. So I first met Scott and his team probably 6 or 8 months ago, where they invited me to a workshop with other founders, CEOs of startups in my own stage, let's say SaaS that are selling to the enterprise. And several months after that, we actually got into a formal coaching engagement with our CEO group called Elevate. Now, it's been very good to actually have a group of peers, a group of fellow CEOs that are pretty much at the same stage, having similar problems, getting started with a sales motion, perhaps solving problems together as how do we hire our first VP of sales, how do we set up a sales organization, and also other subjects that are not necessarily related to sales, but just how to handle personal work management and stress levels, and how do we handle HR things and internal company problems. So it's always very good to have this sort of questions with fellow CEOs and also with Scott himself. So we came here to the intensive with our sales team, actually the key members of our sales team, our brand new VP of sales, and other team members who've been doing sales at Rever for quite a while. And it was very useful to put us all in the same page right now that we start in 2019. It helped us to review our history, the things that we figured out, the things that we've learned together, and set up together the action plan for the coming year. Actually, it was surprising to see how pragmatic the advice is. I think one of the things I appreciate of Scott, and one of the reasons I decided to work with him, is that his advice is immediately actionable. It's not high-level, fluffy, directional advice that you can interpret any way. It's very concise advice that sometimes it's just validating the things that you already had in your head, and sometimes it's like brand new insights into how to handle certain problems. I'd recommend working with Scott for any other CEO, also in my situation, getting started in building a sales organization in the early stages, and you need validation and support on how to make the right hires, how to set up the right organization, and help each other out. For sure, it's a no-brainer.
I'm Eric Jacobson, founder and CEO of Be My Guest. I got started working with Scott. I actually connected with him through his podcast about 18 months ago, and he's been giving me a lot of value for free over the course of that time. And he kind of came up with an offer that we had been growing since I first interacted with him, and it made sense for us to really partner with him. This event, and actually just working with him in general, has been really amazing for us, just to have some structure around our sales process, which we had some systems that we were using and some processes, but it was all kind of ad hoc, and Scott's been able to really formalize some of that and also just be there on a week-to-week basis for us to be able to have someone in our corner when we need them. So I don't know if this is a good thing for me to put out there, but how responsive he is and the team is. Like, when we need something, they are there immediately. And I don't want to say they're on call 24/7, but it almost feels like that to me a little bit. And the resources that they have, whether they can't answer our question or jump on a call immediately, they usually have a resource that they can point us to in the meantime. So that responsiveness has been really beneficial and helpful for us. Yeah, from this intensive, one thing that really has stood out to me is our buyer's persona and our buyer's journey. Effectively, we are winging that right now just based on our inherent knowledge of our customers. What we really need to be doing is being proactive and contacting them and calling them and asking them more about their job, the company, things that they're interested in, so that we can then take that and market to people similar as them in the way that would most appeal to them, versus us just having a vague sense of the best way to do that. I would definitely recommend working with Scott. He truly just feels like, him and his team, honestly, just feel like a partner to you through this. And they don't necessarily give you all of the answers, just, hey, here's my problem, and Scott, solve this problem for me. What I do actually kind of like about it is he gives you tools and playbooks and will help you think through it, but it's really on you to then go and execute it. And it gives you that ownership that you're in charge of yourself. You need to be the one executing it. I actually like that balance there with that, so I definitely recommend it. One thing that I also like with this program in general is the ability to bring our team into it. So it's not just myself as the CEO. I can bring my co-founder and other team members to be involved in this, even if it's not directly related to their job. it is beneficial in keeping us all on the same page. So working with him is like, yeah, bring your team. Like, it's no big deal. You guys can all work through these challenges together. So I like that it's not just limited to myself as the CEO of the company.
My name is Kristen. I am part of the Office Ninjas team, and we've been a member of SalesQualia for quite some time now. Our team is a small but mighty startup, and we accomplish a lot for a small group. But we need help. We need the extra help. We need the camaraderie. We need the push. SalesQualia, not only Scott, but the other members, really, it feels like community. We know we're kind of going through some of the same challenges. We get to knock ideas off of each other. We get new tool recommendations. We hear people having the same challenges. It's an experience that really keeps you in the moment. Sometimes it's easy to get discouraged or to fall off or to forget that you have this community, but then we can just reach out and Scott will be like, try this, this, and this. And then it's like, oh, wow, it's just an amazing resource to have. And so it's an extension of our team. Nancy and Edwin, the co-founders of Office Ninjas, were already engaged with SalesQualia, and once I came aboard, I started joining in on the Slack channel and the intensives. For me, I've been in marketing for a long time in the agency space, and so there are a lot of things that we talk about here that I'm familiar with, but there are also new twists and new ideas and things that I haven't considered or we haven't tried, and it kind of reminds me we need to, there's more to do. There's more work to do. And sometimes, it's easy to you're focusing on so many things that you start to have too much going on. And sometimes you just need to be brought back to center. And I feel like that's one of the skills Scott has, is like helping you move away the junk or the stuff that's not the top priority. It's not going back to your business goals and reminding you, like, focus. I also find that when I come to these events, he has this saying, you don't know, if you're not doing it, then do you really know what to do? Like, you may know what to do, but if you're not doing it, doesn't matter. And that's a big reminder, because sure, I might have, known about some of the things that we talk about, but if I'm not doing it, then who cares? And so being here really reignites that for me and helps me realign if I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah, I would actually, and I have. I think it's a really great resource. I have quite a few friends who are starting up companies on their own or are just in sort of an early startup stage, and they're trying to sell, and it's hard, and a lot of them aren't natural salespeople and don't have that background. They just have a dream and a belief, and they're going to chase it. So I think this is one of the best opportunities to get that help and experience to really, start making sales for a small business. So yes, I would recommend it, and I have. I think sometimes it can be challenging to figure out where you get your help. Everybody needs help, and it can be challenging to decide where to make that investment, partially because it's an investment and you only have so much pieces of the pie, and partly because there's just a lot of people out there saying that they can help you. So, I think with SalesQualia, there's so many touch points and to that help, that personalization, that I don't know if you get elsewhere. Scott will jump on a call with you and just hash it out and come up with a game plan. And we can do that anytime we want. That's valuable. That's the real value. I don't need to just read a book. I don't need to go to a conference and get jazzed. I need solutions, for me.
So my name is Melissa Karjanakis, founder and CEO of ScriptSwap. Scott actually did a workshop at Draper Associates, and Boost VC, Adam Draper, is one of my investors. So I found out about the workshop, but I actually couldn't make it. So I emailed him saying, hey, I couldn't make this workshop, but it seemed really amazing. I'm terrified of sales, help. And then we spoke from there, and I decided to work with him. Working with Scott's been hugely beneficial, completely amazing, and for me, taking sales, that was something that I had zero experience in, had never sold anything, and now I'm with vice presidents of big banks. And something that you often hear to feel like icky about in some way, and that I just was not confident in at all either, and turned it into something that I feel like I have the right skills, the right strategies, I know how to do it. I actually really enjoy it, and it's something I really love as a part of my job now. Specifically, the client intensives are great because most of what we do is remote, which is wonderful for meeting with all different teams all over the world and learning from other founders. But having that in-person time is really invaluable, and we know that. So being here physically together, doing pods where we learn from one another, going through different exercises on the chart paper and on the worksheets physically in person together makes a big difference. It's very interactive, and I think builds a deeper connection that we can then sustain through the various video conferences we have. I don't think there's anything unexpected that came from working with Scott, but definitely services rendered, results accomplished, in the sense that I expected to get better at sales. That's what I'm paying for, that's why I'm working with him. And my CTO has said that from sales conversations we had in June to November, it is night and day, and I'm handling them completely differently. So that's not unexpected, but it's exactly what I wanted, so I'm pretty happy about it. Of course, I'd recommend working with Scott. So startup founders are often really oriented around product and have this assumption that if they just build the best thing, it'll sell itself. And unfortunately, VCs and investors tend to perpetuate that myth. I call it a myth because sales is such a crucial and integral part of any startup founder's early knowledge that they simply need to have, that is undervalued by the industry, and there just aren't enough people like Scott with this high caliber of skills and experience to teach you, which is why I absolutely recommend going to someone like this, because you need those skills, period, full stop, no matter how good or amazing or exciting or interesting your product is. This will help you to actually sell it and build a sustainable business that grows.
Hi, my name is Anj Rios. I work at 10,000 Feet in Seattle. I work on business development and implementation. We were, hitting our growth goals, but we recognized that we had a lot of opportunity to improve a lot of our sales processes, and so we brought Scott on last year. Our first client intensive was actually last September, and we implemented 4 big projects in Q4, and we're already seeing incredible results from those things, which is super exciting. It's been great. So we a couple projects that we worked on last quarter where we shortened our trial. So we had a 30-day trial and shortened that to 14 days, just to shorten the life cycle. And then we also added some updates to our pricing. So we just implemented that at the beginning of this year, and already able to monetize some of the users that we hadn't monetized in the 5.5 years that we were in business prior to working with Scott, which is really fantastic. What other things do we do? Oh, and we have restructured our sales meetings. So we now have a sales stand-up, thanks to Scott, that we do every day. Really helps us as a team sort of prioritize and also understand, what are the other folks on our team working, and then how can we help them reach their desired outcomes. So that's been really great for me and the team. So one of the things I really taken out of the intensive was Eric was in the hot seat yesterday talking about his company. He does PR podcasting, and in conjunction with Jen's talk, thinking about what are the different channels where you can reach your ideal customer. And we've sort of done a lot of the same things. We have a great blog, but we haven't done a podcast. We don't do webinars for new prospects. And so thinking about how can we tap into these other channels where our customers are playing in every day to be able to grow and scale the company. I would definitely recommend these intensives for a number of reasons. I think you leave here feeling like, wow, I have like tactical stuff that I can implement myself and bring back to the team. This one was really interesting because there was a stronger marketing focus. So it's going to be really awesome for us to go back to our marketing team with the things that we've learned, especially this time of year, and say like, hey, like we learned all this great stuff about buyer personas and where to put content. So that will be really awesome. And then I also think just like to be able to bond with my internal team and other folks is invaluable. So yes, highly recommend the intensive for people. Something unexpected in working with Scott is that there's just so much that we don't know. And not in a bad way, but I think that there's just constant opportunity, and I am just really excited about continuing to work with him and being able to grow professionally, help our teams grow, and then ultimately help our company achieve our growth and revenue goals. Thanks for having me, and I'll give it a little love. 3, 2, 1.